Hello guys, and welcome to another highlights video, and this is the final sprint round of the season in HOR at Brazil. There's 2 rounds to go after this race, but this race in particular we could seal the championship, the Drivers' Championship, so hopefully be able to seal it in style, but as you see it's raining in the sprint, so we're pretty much forced to go onto the soft tyres, in the case of anything pretty much. But as we go for the start of the lap, into turn 1, and we go a little bit too deep, which messes up our turn 2. It might have cost us a 10th there alone, but in the end it wouldn't have amounted to anything else than P2, as Ruti got a 0.5, we get a 0.800. Still a front row, so I ain't particularly disappointed with that. Of course, I probably would have wanted better, like the pole position, but in the end we miss out. But as you can see, it is raining, but you can see in the corners of the tyre blankets, you can see the red marked soft tyres are on, and it's dry enough for the softs, so we're going to see how this plans out, and I'm going to expect chaos across the whole field on the softs on the damp tracks, so it's pretty unexpected coming to this. Expect some crashes on lap 1, but just waiting for everyone to line up on the grid. Speaking of the grid, the front row seems to be the more hilly part of the grid. Everywhere else seems to be a little bit easier, but it's a little bit more uphill is the front row, so it's not going to be the easiest of starts, especially on a damp track as well, on the slick tyres. So the 5 lights ahead of us for the sprint, and we get a fairly okay launch, not too bad, but the guys behind us, Shifters and Brock, they're both going to get alongside us. They get a much better start than us, but as we go into turn 2, we get caught out right in the middle of both of them, and we end up losing 2 places because of that. Luckily no damage, but as we go a little bit further onto lap 1, and you look behind, there's a massive crash with one of the McLarens, Davidenko, and I think it's an Alpine as well, and brings out the VSC for lap 1. So it neutralises us in P4 for now, but we go into lap 2, track conditions visibly improving, and Shifters locks up the rears, and then we get collected a little bit, and because of that we lose out to Fisco, and we remain P4. Ultimately from that we try and have a look up the inside, but Fisco just about manages to keep the position there, and we had to stay behind him for a few more laps as he managed to get DRS, and I think he definitely had the pace advantage in the damp conditions. But we go into lap 7 and we're going to go for a move on the inside of turn 1, we have the outside for turn 2, and that's the move done, and now we could chase Brock and try and get the move done on him. As we get the run on him, we're not going to use our energy, we're just going to power pass with the DRS, and we're going to take the lead of the race. But we move on to lap 9, and you see suffering horrendous understeer, and I think it would be much apparent. You see the tyre temps going to be like 108, 109, so we needed off these tyres onto the mediums. The mediums will definitely have the pace advantage over the softs now, but we enter the pits to try and put on the fresh set of mediums, and I think our main objective is to get out ahead of Brock, who stopped the lap before us. I think Ruti stopped 2 laps before us, he is clear of the traffic, but as we're coming out the pits, Brock is not very far away, still half a second behind as we come out the pits, but we come out in front of him at least, net P2, P5 at the moment, with a couple of guys who haven't stopped yet right in front of us, but SPW here is going to let us through. He's going to let both of us through, I think, making our lives a little bit easier, and come to the end of that lap, and we got the DRS off Sean, and that brought us to 1.4 seconds, but over the course of the next few laps we managed to get in a DRS of Ruti. We're exchanging DRS places, and we go on to the last 2 laps here, and things get a little bit tactical, and I lose the back end there, and you can see Ruti is hanging on the outside. Brock is there as well, he wants a piece of this, and I'm going to try and defend the inside so he can't make a move there. And Ruti hangs on around the outside, and we hold on to the critical P2 in the train. And we come on to the final lap here. Brock is using absolutely everything. Now we're going to start using, and now it's going to be 3 wide into turn 1. We try and go as deep as possible so we can give the room to Brock, and we're going to back off there to try and get the DRS, and we have. And that was a big mistake from Brock, and in the end, because of that, we're going to get the move done around the outside of turn 4. We try and give the room just in case if he does keep the nose up the inside, but that is the move done, and all we have to do is try and hold on for the rest of this final lap, and we need a gap at the end of the lap just to hold on to P1 and not get past to the line, because that would not be a nice way for me to end the race. And of course it will cost us pole position as well. But we're going to try and get the gap. And you see we've got 5 temps over Brock going through the final sector here. We've got the grip, not understeering, not overheating, and going out of the final couple of corners there, and we just about enough of a gap, I think. And as you see coming up to the line, we had 4.5 temps. Brock only managed to close it down to 1/4 of a second, so we were safe, and we get the sprint race win, which is, I think, our first sprint race win of the season, if I am not wrong. For calling it, I think it is our first sprint race win of the season, and our only sprint race win of the season. But as we go into the race, it is wet again, another wet start, but this time we're on the inters. We actually got the right tyres for the conditions this time around, but you've got to wait for the grid to line up again, and once again expecting another chaotic lap 1, but hoping for the best, hopefully not get sandwiched this time in turn 2, and we just wait for the guys to ready up, and we have the lights come on for us, and we now got 5 lights, and we get away very, very well, and we leave them all for dust behind us as we go into turn 1, and we cover off the inside just in case, but overall we covered off the lead very nicely, and we're going to go through turn 3 in the lead of the race on lap 1, and we're going to go forward another 6 laps, and we're on to the end of lap 7 here. Ruti's kept about the same gap all the way through to lap 7, but everyone else has gapped each other, and we're going to ask Jeff for the weather, because it looks moderately dry, and he says that the dry zone inters are the best tyres right now. So we dived in last second. We just about got away on the pit entry there, and as we come out of the pits, there is a 4-car battle going on. They're still on the intermediate tyres, and as we come out, we're going to try and go as fast as possible on the pit exit. We're on the soft tyres as well, and everyone else went to medium tyres, which is pretty interesting, as I thought lap 8 or lap 7 would be a bit too early for the mediums. I don't think they would even make it from this point, so the softs were the only option, which I would have to make another pit stop again, but they are the faster tyre, and overall I think I would be able to catch up to the medium train on my second stint if they manage to make the tyres last all the way to the end. But as you see, we're trying to get through this battle of cars, but it is literally impossible. Both David and Jay going side by side all the way through, and there's no way I could get through at all, and I'm just sat here, nothing I could do. And I see an opportunity open up, we try and go around outside, but I lose the back end, just about hold it, and just about hold the position there. And we go through the final corner, and Jay loses a bit of grip there, and we get a pass on him, and I think everyone coming into the pits at the end of this lap to get off those intermediate tyres and get on the dry tyres. So we're going to come across the line with a start lap 9 of this race, and Brock just about coming out of the pits. I thought we'd lose out a bit of time to Brock, but the gap remained the same. It looks like the dries just picked up right at the end of the lap, and we're going to come out in 3rd after that. Of course, Ewan and Shifters didn't pit yet, but they did the next lap. So we move on through the laps as we got fastest lap, I think 7 laps in a row, which was quite crazy. Even though the track was drying out, but we were still improving, even in the 1-minute 9s, which I thought would be probably peaking mid to high 109s, but we had some really good pace at the start of the stint. We saw 8.1 seconds come the end of our stint. The tyres were just about dying off at the end there. Tyre temps, of course, peaking, and it was much more wear than the race before and on a heavier load of fuel, so expected a lot more tyre temps there. But we're going to come out in P3 behind Ruti and Brock, but just ahead of Shifters, and we have 9 seconds to gain on our soft tyres, and come lap 31 we've managed to catch up to them. And you see we're going to try and stick our nose up the inside of Ruti. He does give the space. I tried braking early just to avoid any potential incident there, but we're going to try and ride it around the outside, and the grip of the softs just absolutely outweighed the probably 60% mediums, as of course they're 23 laps old, so they're going to be really struggling for just grip in general, and we've got like 25%, so we've got a massive grip advantage, and of course the soft tyre are generally better providing they're in the right window, but looking at the mediums, we have them in the perfect window for attack. As we go into the final 5 laps, Brock is going to defend the inside line, so he's not going to make this easy for me, but he's going to give us the DRS here, and we stay behind just so we could get that. We wasn't going to try anything around the outside in turn 1. We're just going to wait for the DRS there, and we're going to go into the lead of the race, and we're going to get 4 temps over Ruti, and watch the gap climb over the lap from 4 temps over to a second we needed to get it, and through those first 2 corners 6 temps already, and then through the next 2 corners we're going to get from 6 temps all the way up to 8 temps, and we go into the Hamilton Albon corner, or the uphill right hander, into the downhill left, and you see it's now a second, so we've already achieved that 1.1 going into the final corner, and there you go, it's pretty much done and dusted for us, and a very comfortable final few laps of the race. As you can see, we're on the final lap of the race. We've got 8.5 seconds gap to Brock. Ruti pitted for soft tyres. I don't know whether that wear or fastest lap attempt, but we're going to go through the final corner, and we're on the run to the line to become HOR champion and win both races, being the absolutely perfect race night, and we're going to bag almost maximum points, which is probably the best way to seal the championship in my opinion, and good way to end the season as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next highlights video, goodbye.